All right, welcome to the Kingsway Podcast. Glad you guys are back. We have a few guests with us today.
What up?
I'm John.
What's up, John? How do you do?
We're gonna fight. Okay.
And who are you?
I'm Jed.
Jed, what do you guys do here?
Well, I'm the family pastor.
Perfect.
Been here for a little while.
A few years?
Couple minutes.
Yeah.
Couple minutes now?
Yeah.
30 seconds?
About 9 years.
9 years, probably.
I think it's 9 years, yeah.
And Jed, what do you do?
Do I have a title? I don't know. I sit behind the camera and push play on things. The monkey flips the switch. That's what I do.
You're doing a great job at that, too.
You pressed a lot of buttons.
Did you flip this switch? That's impressive.
I did. I flipped the switch and then sat down.
You know what's funny is I'm wearing the same outfit that I was wearing
Yeah.
a couple of other times. Do you think anybody's going to notice that?
Probably not. No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Now
The moms will
Now
notice.
the moms will notice.
Yeah, the moms will notice.
Just thought about that. Well, hey, we got some fun things that we're going to do today. We did an episode early on where basically just asked three quick things about me, like what I'm reading, what I'm watching, and then what I'm learning. Is that the last one, or what is it?
Learning, listening to, I don't know. You can make up whatever questions you want.
Okay,
honestly.
well, learning, listening to, listening to, watching.
Reading, watching, listening to.
Reading, watching, listening to.
Learning. I don't know.
That's
Learning
more
cap.
than 3 questions.
Cool. We got these very well defined. And I think what was fun is Jet said, hey, we should do that again because it's been a little while. And then on top of that, with the quarantine, I think it's kind of given us all kind of a place where we're like focused in on some things. And so I'll let Jed, you start. Let's start with the easiest of them. Okay.
Which is?
What are you listening to?
What am I listening to?
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, I don't know. Surprisingly, not listening to a lot of podcasts or audiobooks right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're a pretty prominent podcaster.
I normally podcast a lot. I think the thing is...
You have to listen to this like 1,000 times, though.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
I listen to this and then the sermons and everything that we're doing. It's hard for me to podcast while I'm editing. So normally I'll just have some music or a movie that I don't really care about.
To a lot of music. Then.
Plus, you probably hear it over and over when you close your eyes. Yeah. It just cycles through.
That's not the song you're listening to, right?
Okay, so but if you had time, what would you catch up on, or what would be the thing that you're?
So before, so I go to Ozark Christian College in Joplin. So driving back and forth between Joplin and Mount Vernon is, about 40-45 minutes. I would listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Okay.
And that, podcast wise, I listen to this podcast called The Soundtrack Show a lot, where there's a guy who's done a lot of work. He's done a lot of voiceover work, but he's also done a lot of soundtrack work for a lot of movies you've heard of. He's worked on none of the Star Wars movies, but on like the Clone Wars and stuff. He's done a lot. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And he will just get on there and he'll pick a movie, generally a series. He's done it on Star Wars. He's done a series on Lord of the Rings. He's done a series on Indiana Jones. And just talk about the soundtracks, the motifs, the themes that you'll hear pop up a lot, and just kind of what they mean. Yeah.
Done.
And he'll take, the notes that make up a theme and say, this is kind of what the composer's kind of trying to point you towards.
Points you to like build energy, break something down, build intensity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
This is how he's talking about, maybe Luke Skywalker's heroism.
Yeah.
And through these 4 notes that are repeated. Music wise, I can't not mention Colony
I was
House.
going to say,
bro, their new album came out. I knew you were going to be like hashtag ad, hashtag ad.
I'm not in Colony House.
Come
this
at me.
isn't no. Leave What's Lost Behind. Caleb Chapman, who's the front man of that band, is maybe the best lyricist that we have living at this point in time.
Wow.
He's so good.
He is really good.
that's a strong statement.
That is incredibly strong.
I'm just telling
Bob
you.
Dylan just rolled over in his grave.
I said living at this time.
I'm just sorry.
He's so good. I can't tell you how many times some line has jumped out at me from.
Give me your favorite song.
Why Even Try?
Why Even Try?
It's this song.
All right, are we linking everything we're talking about?
We can.
All right.
I think we should.
We're linking. We got to because I need to hear that. I haven't heard that song yet. I've listened to the album. Okay.
So good.
I haven't even tried.
Oh man.
The only album I've listened to was borrowed by a friend from It's the I'm gonna sound like a noob. It's the
Their
one with the
first
curly
one.
head
Yeah.
kid on the cover.
When I was
Curly-
younger, it's their debut album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah. They have 3 albums. Every single one is phenomenal, start to finish. But I've talked a lot about their most recent one is really good. I could take up the entire 30 minutes right now.
I knew you were gonna bring that up, and I love that you. So, John,
Yes.
thank you, Jed. What have you been listening to? And I think I love how you broke it down to podcast and music, because I think those are 2 worthy categories. Doesn't have to stay there.
Yeah.
It could be sermons too if you're listening to them.
I've been listening to a lot of Tim Mackey, all of his stuff. Whether it's probably more of his sermons than
Exploring My Strange Bible.
Yeah, all of it.
Because he's got the Tim Mackey channel as well on YouTube.
And so, been listening just to a lot of his sermons though, just different sermon series and things like that. You know, the ones where the green boards in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Those.
Oh my gosh, yes, those are good.
And so they were very.
And
good.
those are on his YouTube channel.
Yes, that's right.
We'll link that. We'll link that because those are like almost an hour long.
They were 50 minutes usually.
But he knows Hebrew and Greek and has doctorates in both, I think.
So my wife and I actually have been listening. Like we do this a lot. Well, we'll get talking on a subject, and then I'll go find a Tim Mackey version, and then we'll just like split a AirPod, and then listen to it together.
And does that end in you winning most of the time, or
it's usually with me trying to win, and then I get humbled.
Okay,
and
done. That was a good answer.
That
was a chance. That was like a bear trap that I put in front of you, and you sidestepped that pretty well. I'm proud of you.
No problem.
So, what about music wise? You've been listening to?
Music wise, I've been listening to. I've been listening to a lot of just heavy worship music. I've been doing a lot of that, but then I kind of bounce back and forth just to like the old standbys, like listening to a lot of Jimmy Eat World and Weezer and guys like that whenever I'm kind of working and just want to just like not think about what I'm listening to. Those are kind of my good go-tos.
Old schools.
Yeah.
I was listening to some Blink-182 the other day. That's funny you mentioned that. That's really funny. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. And I know, like, for us, like, we're just trying to be real on here too. Like, I love that we're not afraid to talk. Like, obviously, like, we're all pastors in a way. Like, it's like, but we're outside of like those genres, and that definitely is cool. I know for myself, like listening, man, I listen to stuff constantly. I'm listening to a brand new book. That's why I keep looking at my phone. I was trying to remember what the author's name was.
You bounce around. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I've known you a long time now. I don't know if I've known you to stick with just one thing.
No, I listen to stuff all the time. There's different. It's called Barking to the Choir.
Yeah, you were talking about
and
that.
It is so cool. And it's the radical power of the kingship of Christ. And it's by Gregory Boyle. He is a Jesuit priest that has been serving the gangs of LA. And so he basically is just talking about through his kind of tours and helping them kind of navigate the kind of the life that they've been born into and come out of that. And it is incredibly powerful. The theme of the barking at the choir is barking up the wrong tree or preaching to the choir. So it's both in the title, which is really cool. So it's kind of like this idea of like you're barking to a group of people that need the gospel, but they hear you kind of like you're barking up the wrong tree, but they know that they need it, kind of like the choir. And it's just a powerful way to kind of like say, "Oh, this is really cool."
Listen to it.
And I will say, like, because it's coming from a Jesuit priest too, like, there's just a part of it that I love seeing, like the liturgical side of the Catholic Church still do great work, even though it's very alien to me in like my Christian church background. That God's still living and active and moving, even in that kind of fragment of our theology. So it's cool. It's really, really cool. As far as music goes, gosh, you guys, I'm one of those, like, I listen to everything.
That's what I was saying. I don't know if
I listen to everything.
I couldn't probably tell you week to week what you're probably if I had to guess.
That's true. It gets me really in trouble sometimes because I get stuck on some stuff. I've been my kids and I have been loving Dance Monkey by the Tones and I. We have just been obsessed with that song. That is like my go-to song. My wife made my middle son dance to it yesterday on Instagram, and it was hysterical.
The kids are listening to Sunday Best all the time.
Sunday Best,
all the time. They love that song. It's like our dance party
dude,
song.
Dude, I love it. I've been listening to NF a lot. He's a rapper, Christian rapper. He is. Yeah. He's a staple.
I would say,
his last album was just so good. Recently, I've been just listening to a lot of just techno. It sounds to you guys know. I listen to a lot of techno remixes, like workout remixes. Like there's this one on YouTube. I might even be able to find it to give to you, but it's like a 1990s to 2000 hits techno remix that's over an hour and 20 minutes long on YouTube, and it just flows. And it's stinking awesome. I just vibe to it. I vibe to it. Anyway, as far as like meaningful songs though, like I'm Not in a Hurry, and Lay It All at the feet of Jesus. Both of those are Lil Reagan, right? Yeah,
I think so.
I think they are. It's from his one album. I can't remember the name of it. I know you're gonna ask me. I can't.
Tell All My Friends.
Yes, Tell All My Friends. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, those two songs are like the ones right now that I run to a lot. That being said, good. We've answered one of the 12 questions. We have it. 12 questions.
We're out of time now.
See ya.
Let's change it up a little bit. John, you go first this time. What are you watching? What are you watching? Because I know, all right, Tim Mackey was on the YouTubes, but you're listening more than you're watching, so I get why you put that in.
To be honest, I haven't watched. I don't know. I'm probably like the only person in the United States.
How un-American are you? Wait. You're telling me you haven't watched? You haven't watched Tiger King?
I have watched. I watched Tiger King.
I haven't seen Tiger King.
We watched. We like binge watched it hard when it first. Like I think it was two nights, maybe 3 nights.
I remember you came in and you're like, "Have you watched Tiger King?"
It was crazy.
Jed and I were like, "No, you sinner."
Yeah. You cannot not watch it when literally everybody.
I told you it's Honey Boo Boo with Tigers, and we talked about that. It is Honey Boo Boo with Tigers, and I get it. I'm.
Have you finished
it? This is the kettle.
Have you finished it?
Calling the kettle black. Yes. Okay. I have finished Tiger King.
It's nuts.
I want my time back, but I have finished.
That's crazy.
I guess I'm the only Christian.
You're the only Christian.
It is literally the epitome of like watching a car wreck, and like you can't turn your eyes away.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
But it's pre-recorded.
It's
pre-recorded.
It's insane.
It's like those YouTube videos of like the fail blogs.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's pretty much like 7 or 8 episodes.
All right, Jed, redeem us, please. What have you been watching?
Okay. The TV show I'm stuck on right now is Naruto.
Naruto, yeah.
The guy that runs like
animated.
Naruto. Man, I tell you what, I thought I was a casual like social anime fan until I found that. Like, no, I'm in.
You're deep.
Wow.
I guess that's kind of like at the top of the barrel.
You guys say I'm unpredictable in what I listen to. I'm going down. All right.
No,
wow.
Naruto's really
how many
good.
seasons? What are we talking about? This is a movie?
No, so
I know literally nothing about
what you're saying.
It's an
anime show, so it's Japanese.
Okay.
I found
subtitle.
I have the dubbed version, so it's overdubbed in English.
Which some would say that's total sacrilege.
I guess I'm not the biggest anime fan, but I enjoy it. But no,
you're on the groundbreaking level.
Let me just tell you, it's this kid. He's got a 9-tailed demon fox sealed inside of him.
You had me a demon fox.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know what I just. There's 9 Ninja Turtles trapped in a little boy. Is what you just told me. Okay.
He's stupid powerful. He's always using the shadow clone jutsu. Man, I don't know what else I could tell you.
And we need dubs for what you're explaining to me right now. To overlay what you just said.
To movies. I've watched several movies in the last week. That's trying to catch up on my Netflix queue. I watched The Captive last night with Ryan Reynolds, which you played a very small part in that movie, actually. I did not expect that, but
that's decent.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I watched Slow West the other week. I was talking with Trevor
you were saying that was really good.
It's pretty good. Western.
I love Westerns, man.
Really beautiful movie. I watched.
You've seen Open Range, right? Okay. Okay. There you go. There you go. All right,
talking about beautiful. That's probably the most beautiful Western
when you describe
I've seen.
It. Yeah. That's the movie that I had in my mind.
Well, I'll keep that in mind.
So it's called Slow West.
Slow West. Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else? What was that? That's pretty much it.
That sounds
I watched Honey Boy the other night. Shia LaBeouf's kind of semi-autobiographical. It was pretty good. It probably wasn't quite as emotionally impactful as I expected it to be, but it was good. Man, I can't think of anything else. I think that's about it.
I know my like go-tos right now are definitely like YouTube channels more than anything. Like I get caught up on all kinds of YouTube channels. But if I'm trying to think like films and stuff, like I really enjoyed Fighting with the Family.
Really?
I did. I
That
enjoyed.
surprises me.
It's a WWE
Yeah.
true story, and just the way it's told, it knows what it is. Doesn't take
Was that a
The
movie?
Rock. Mm-hmm. It's The Rock, John. It's like he's the executive producer.
Yeah.
It knew what it was. I always love movies that don't take themselves too seriously, but also take themselves seriously enough to have some fun. It kind of reminds me of like an old Rock movie, kind of like The Rundown, or like just something that like, you're like, I like this. It's just enjoyable.
Yeah.
It feels like fast casual food. It's not quite McDonald's, but it's not like, we're not going to like Texas Roadhouse or something, like it knows what it is. And I appreciated it. It didn't feel like a waste of time. And by the end of it, I'd laughed.
Was it pretty funny? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd laughed a
in
few times. It's PG-13, so you got to watch it, but who you're watching it with. But man, I thought it was great. I've gone through a couple different shows. The one that's been that I just can't get away from it. I feel like it's like a 90s show caught in 2020, but it's Bosch on Amazon Prime. They just released the newest season, and I'm a sucker for it. It's like a terrible man's version of 24, and I just love the old style of like Clint Eastwood guy that knows more than he should and is more capable and catches the bad guys, and it's just done well, and it's a good character. As far as YouTube channels go, I like Bon Appetit. And you watch Bon Appetit.
You ever watch Binging with Babish?
Yes,
I love
yes.
Binging with Babish.
So good. Dude Perfect. Anything Dude Perfect put out. They put out their quarantine games, which was one contest a day for like 7 days live, and they were hysterical. It's just us. It'd be like us doing stupid little things to raise money for charity, and I don't know. I just get sucked in. So, yeah, that's definitely what I'm gonna watch things all the time. I watch things, and then I play Fortnite. I don't know if that's watching or listening. It's both.
Active watching.
Yeah. I mean, how about this? Let's go to the learning thing. But before we get there, like I think it's important, like we kind of because I think we're learning a lot, right? There's a lot that we could learn, and I don't necessarily just want to point it at who we're talking to, because you guys are out there listening and you're paying attention to what you're hearing, and you probably have your own opinions on whether we're listening to anything decent. Probably the only thing that's worth remembering at this point is Colony House is the best band on the planet.
There's no competition. Seen them 5 times live now. Better every time.
He's not biased.
He's not backing down. He's not biased. But if you could turn your eyes, turn your heart to the people that are listening, that you would say, hey, if I had 5 minutes at a coffee shop and I wanted to sit down and I wanted to explain in just a couple minutes to you what I feel like God has been teaching me or what I feel like I'm learning, like that's a question that I think a lot of people out there, they probably have their own thing. But what would we say to them? Like, how could we translate that, and what would be healthy? So I'll start, and then I'll let you guys kind of have a few moments just so you can. But I know for me, what I have been learning is that I will do what is easiest and most comfortable naturally until I don't have to anymore. That's what I've been learning. And what this has made me do is pause. This quarantine, this pandemic, whatever, it's made me pause. And then I find myself being anxious about nothing because I don't have anything to do. I don't have something to be like doing or like working towards. And then I would normally. And I'm like, what is that in me that I feel like I haven't done enough in my day, or maybe there's something that I should be planning that I can't plan yet because things are too unpredictable, and it just rises up in me. And it really is showing me how much I want more control over my life. And I thought I had more control than I really did. And it is a daily struggle to be content. Just a daily struggle to be okay with not knowing what tomorrow holds, and where I think I had a false sense of understanding of what it meant to be content. I think I really thought if I could plan out my week, my month, my year, that would provide contentment. That has been taken away from me. And I just find it completely freeing and much more peaceful to find contentment in each day. And I don't think I would have experienced like this in this way without something like this going on, knowing the difference between those two things in my own heart. And that's been the main thing I've been kind of thinking through.
I'd say mine's a little similar in a way. I was talking with Jesse the other night. We text a lot, and
who was on the podcast not too long ago.
Just on the podcast.
Cool.
And we've been doing like we've been starting some studies together and learning. But he texted me and was talking about kind of be more consistent with the time throughout the day. And really, and I kind of was thinking on that, and he just wanted to be more meaningful with his time. And as I was thinking about that, I was like, this whole time it's kind of been like somebody that's lost their job almost, where you find yourself, and you may have, but we obviously haven't, but you find yourself with all this extra time, and you can easily have your self-worth like kind of plugged into what you do. And I love my job. I love working here, and
we've been working hard. I know exactly what you're saying. Though, like leaving work. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Right. And so our routines have definitely changed, but you find so much self-worth in what you do that the more I've gotten to hang out with my family now, because it's definitely been more than normal, even though we're staying busy. I'm doing more work from home now. I just look around, and I've kind of shifted that mentality where I'm finding a lot of worth just in like the kids that I'm raising, the relationship with my wife, and not necessarily like tying it so much to the task that I'm completing in a day, finding the worth in that, as I am with the relationships that I'm building with the people, with my friend, like, because my close circles, like, obviously you guys right here with Jesse, and then my family, that's it.
Yep.
Those are the only people I'm hanging around it. And as those relationships have built, like, I'm like, everything could go away and I'd still be happy because I have those.
Yep.
So.
It's kind of a refining thing, almost like brings you back to like what's most important when everything's stripped away.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah, it's definitely been more eye-opening, revealing as, you kind of extend this time.
And I know there's people out there right now that exactly are in that spot where like you didn't realize how little you needed to be happy, or how little you really had to, needed to be sustained in a day. Yeah. I agree. How about you, Jed?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot that I've been reading and reflecting on. I think a lot of it coming from the Psalms, and
you put a blog post out, right? Didn't you?
Yeah. So that's an assignment of mine from one of my classes at school this semester. Is I'm taking a class on the Psalms, and we're supposed to kind of do a reflection on just a psalm a week, and it's in kind of a blog form, and sometimes it's just like getting it out there. But the last couple that I've done have just been things that have really actually stuck with me, and just thinking about God's sovereignty. And I think that's kind of an obvious thing, that God is sovereign. He created the world. He's over it. But I feel like a lot of the times his sovereignty is used as kind of a cop-out of just like, why is this happening? Well, God's sovereign, and he's over all of it. To
explain the unexplainable.
Exactly. And I don't think, while that, I'm not going to get into whether or not I agree with that right now, but I think what's really been hitting me more with his sovereignty is he is sovereign, so wait. And just thinking through all the situations that we can read about in the Bible, and seeing them as real, and thinking through how he was sovereign over those. He was sovereign over when it was just the Spirit of God over the waters and speaking, and there's light and there's land and there's animals. He was sovereign, through Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. He was sovereign at the Tower of Babel. He was sovereign at through all of Israel's sordid history past, and all of those things. And he's sovereign when Jesus was hanging on the cross, and he's sovereign now, and not necessarily using that as a cop out of he's sovereign, so we can't question him. We can't, ask him why this is happening, but looking at it more of like, no, he's sovereign. So just sit back and wait. Like, so I don't know.
I know one of the biggest things that Psalm 46 is, be still and know that I am God.
Yeah.
And like that, I was reading that this morning, and I was thinking through, like, the start of that is like, I take refuge, and like, you are my fortress. And like, I don't think I ever connected that's the full context of that verse. Yeah. So it's like the refuge and the fortress is where we like to sing about. Right. And but then we don't recognize like the end of the story is like, we do no fighting.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do inside of a fortress?
Is you
chill.
rest and you take refuge in that. And so the sovereignty of God a lot of times is used like an arrow rather than a fortress, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I do that in my own heart. Greg Boyle actually has a quote in here that he says he does not believe God keeps things from happening to his gang members, but he knows he will sustain them through whatever they go through. And those are two different kind of ideas that a lot of times we're like, well, God wouldn't stop. And he's like, nah, that's not what God promises. Yeah. God promises to sustain like a defensive tower, like a refuge. Yeah. He doesn't always promise to give us victory over, every little obstacle that we're coming up against. We have ultimate victory in him. And so there's a, that's a really good thing to be focused on, the sovereignty idea. I love that idea a lot. And I think that's something we've talked about on here a lot, right? It's just like, where's God and when I'm hurting, where's God in my pain? I know that's what Life Church, what's his name? Craig Rochelle said this last week, which I loved. Yeah. That was his quote, is that there's purpose in the pain. And when we know there's purpose in pain, we can push through anything. And as long as we know there's purpose in the pain, we can do that. And that, I think, is the ultimate. When I say God is sovereign, I trust that there's a purpose in my pain, right? Yeah. And so I know that that's really hard when it hurts, though. Yeah. That's really hard when it hurts. And let's just be real here. Like, I mean, whether you're watching this from your phone in the middle of a crazy room with kids, or whether you're driving back and forth from work because you're essential and you're listening on Spotify, or you're sitting down late at night with your spouse or by yourself and you're just checking it out at the end of the day, or maybe it's the first thing you're listening to in your morning, I would encourage you to kind of figure out, what is God trying to teach you? And maybe you put that in the comments. Maybe that's the thing we want you to do. Maybe you respond to all 3 questions, but man, put that in the comments and let it be something. And maybe one of the things that we even said is something you're like, that's what I've been learning. And that's what you feel like. We'd love to see that. Remember, you can always subscribe and click the notification bell. It's a way for us to, I think, feel like we're still meeting what you guys need to hear, and we're moving, and God's living and active. And I think he's moving through us, and the Holy Spirit's there. Love that when we're not together and physically, we can be together in spirit. Yeah. And on top of that, the comments and the things that you guys do, it really does help us kind of focus on what we need to be talking about. And it kind of helps us build our confidence as we move forward too. So, thanks again, John and Jed, for being on.
It was fun.
It's awesome conversation, and gonna go. Why even try, right? Yeah. Why even try? Colony House. Okay. Yeah. That'll probably be the first thing I do when we get off here. Hey, you guys have a great day. We'll see you later.